There's another story circulating about the AHCA. This is a story from Mike.com. Senate Republicans are currently amending the House-passed American Health Care Act in secret, making changes to the law without any plans to hold public hearings nor solicit input from their Democratic counterparts before bringing it to a vote. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell filed paperwork Wednesday to fast-track the AHCA, allowing the bill to head to a vote without going to traditional hearing process. Democratic Senator Claire McCaskill even chimed in on this. We have no idea as to what's being proposed. There is a group of guys in a back room somewhere that are making these decisions. I know we made mistakes on the Affordable Health Care Act, Ms. Caskill added. According to one of the criticisms we got over and over again, that vote was partisan. Well, you couldn't have a much more partisan exercise than what you're engaged in right now. So that's pretty much true. So what McConnell did, like this was during the Comey hearing, where Mitch McConnell decided that he was going to fast track the bill to where it wouldn't have a public hearing to where you can propose amendments to it. And what they're trying to do is that, as opposed to before, where this was getting scrutiny publicly, what they're doing now is that they're trying to do it in secret to where they can bypass that process and bring it all the way to a vote, and pretty much pass it through budget reconciliation, and also potentially with the help of the VP, push it all the way through. And it's a really shitty way of trying to push through a bill that nobody wants, with the exception of the Republicans by and large. And they're also trying to make sure that the media has that the actions that's going on right now has less exposure with the help of the media, which actually segues me into another story. And this was actually about the proposed restrictions on the media. In another story, Senate Republicans on Tuesday had quietly backed away from a proposal to restrict media access in the Capitol after an angry backlash from reporters. In an emergency meeting between Senate Rules Committee and the media gallery directors. A Senate familiar with the administration discussion says everything you did before you can still do. It was an abrupt 180-degree turn from earlier in the day when Senate Sergeant at Arms staff informed the press galleries on tough new restrictions. Democrats seized on the news, linking the new restriction to the GOP works on the health care legislation that is currently being drafted behind doors. Now, this was actually an attempt by the Republicans to actually place restrictions on media coverage during these hearings, and this was initially proposed, and then they backed out of it, and they're trying to figure out ways to lessen the blow to where it's a lot easier to push this all the way through. And virtually a lot of people who probably follow the news, about a lot of the town hearings or town halls that are going on, where a lot of people are showing up to voice their support for Medicare for All, which is pretty much the wave of the future. And a great deal of many Republicans have not been receptive to this idea. Pretty much virtually across the board, they have been pretty partisan on this issue of trying to push the American Health Care Act through that destroys price protections. So it's not necessarily a good thing that they're trying to propose, or at least we're trying to propose restrictions on the media, but it's for the time being right now that they've actually backed off of that. And it's really funny coming from the people who advocate for freedom of speech or freedom of press, or actually in this particular case, it's a sort of a compartmentalization of those ideas, where they're totally for the idea when it's the left actually doing it, but when it's the right doing it, nobody really has anything to say about these situations. But I'm glad that they actually backed off this idea. But it's very sad that this idea was even thrown around, that they're trying to push this bill through, and nobody supports this bill at all. But they're trying to push it through, and then they're trying to lessen media coverage on it. It just pretty much tells you where the Republican Party has gotten to as far as listening to their constituents.